Hi friends, I'm Jennifer Anderson with Uptown Common. Today I wanted to talk about something I think vendors almost never think about, but is, I think, key to having the proper perspective on markets and pop-ups. I'm guessing most of you have been a shopper at a market if you're watching this. Do you remember why you went? Did you want to see things that you couldn't see in a big box store? Maybe you wanted to know how the piece was made, who made it. Most people come to shop at markets because they want to build relationships with vendors and be inspired by what they see and the stories of the people who are making the stuff that inspired them. Maybe it was because you wanted to spend time with friends and family, and really markets are just fun. I'm guessing it was one or multiple of those reasons. And I think that's what shoppers are coming for. It's an experience. And often vendors don't think about it like that as a comprehensive experience for the shopper. And even sometimes market organizers too. So they're not exempt from this, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But I don't think vendors, definitely, because that's, we're vendors. We're actually market organizers as well, but we're vendors, and I know that by interacting with, I just don't have the impression that people consider this point of view very often. That it's an experience for the shopper. I mean, they're bringing their mother and their daughter or their friends. They're planning to spend the afternoon or maybe the day if it's a big market or supposed to be a good market. They're gonna spend the day, they're gonna eat, they're gonna laugh, they're gonna have fun, they are gonna do some shopping. That's, one of the primary reasons we're there. Doing a market is to sell stuff. So they're gonna buy stuff, and it's an experience for them. The whole day, the whole time is an experience, and we get to be a part of that. And it's exciting, but it's a big responsibility as well. We know that people create impressions of things. We do it. That's like common knowledge. So if a shopper attends and they mostly see vendors with uninteresting things for sale, vendors who seem uninterested in what they're selling, vendors that are uninterested in the shoppers, they're going to create an impression that the event was not fun and it was not a good experience. And most of the time, if you think something's not fun and not a good experience, you don't repeat it. So the chance of them coming back is slim. The chance of them seeking you out as a vendor at that market is slim. It's unfortunate. It's just unfortunate, so it really is an experience for the shopper, and we need to think about it that way. And the good news is that uninteresting, non-good experience markets can be avoided, and you can do your part as the vendor. There's a lot that's in your control, actually. The organizer also plays a role in setting up the experience for the shopper. And vendors usually don't have any say in what other vendors are invited to participate, which is usually in the hands is the decision of the market organizer, or how many are in each category. So it just could be flooded with a certain type of vendor, or vendors don't get to create the floor plan. They are not able to make sure the music isn't too loud and the bathrooms are clean. A lot of things, those types of things are outside the control of the vendors. However, like I just mentioned a second ago, there is a lot that the vendors can do to make sure that you're offering a good experience for shoppers when they come and interact with your booth. So that is what you can control. You can control your booth, you can control yourself. The first thing I want to mention though is to take any concerns you have about the venue or the event logistics to the organizer. Don't gossip with other vendors about it, and especially not when a shopper can hear. If you have a problem, take it privately to, to the person that can fix it. If a shopper can hear you complaining and it's just making their experience even worse, because they maybe have noticed the same thing and are disappointed for the same reason that you might be, and it's making you complaining about it, them hearing you complain about it is making their experience worse. It's making their experience in your booth worse, perhaps the experience in whoever you're talking to's booth worse. And these could be shoppers that you see at other markets. So if there's something flawed with the market you're at, these people could come find you somewhere else if they have a good experience in your booth and with you. If you can't get a resolution with the market organizer, maybe you choose not to participate in that market next time. And that is something that is entirely in your control, and it can make a point if that's the route you need to go, and that's fine. But don't let it ruin the experience of shoppers in your booth and with you. The second, you can control, like I said, your booth and yourself. Ask yourself some hard questions. Is my booth inviting, and are my items nicely displayed to entice shoppers to come in and take a closer look? Are you friendly and engaged with the people in and near your booth, or are you absorbed in a phone or a book? Are you complaining? There's lots. Think of those things like, am I making people want to come and approach my booth and myself and ask questions and learn more and interact with my things and myself? It can't be fixed in the moment, but take a look at your products. Do you come up with new and fresh products? Or are you still selling the same things everyone has seen? If you've been doing markets for a while, or is it the same stuff people have seen before, just in a new place? Are your items relevant? Trends come and go. I do macrame. Trends come and go, and sometimes very quickly. So you need to pay attention to them closely and adjust as necessary. This is hard because once you get into doing something and you get it going well, and it seems to be moving the way you want it to move, and then a trend changes, now what? You want to keep doing what you were doing. You can't. You got to keep coming up with something new, and maybe the trend's just completely gone, and you just need to come up with something totally different. But anyway, these are questions to ask yourself. Is it relevant? Is the trend over? Can I adapt the trend to be different now and interesting and new and inspiring and exciting to the shopper? Are you doing what everyone else is doing? And if you are, how are you different? And how will a shopper see that in your booth? The reality is that there's a ton of jewelry vendors, soap vendors, door sign vendors, charcuterie board vendors, candle vendors. These are crowded categories, and they're always crowded categories. If shoppers come to an event and all they see is, for example, a sea of door signs, they aren't going to have a good experience, because they're thinking, how many door signs can I buy? So partially that's on the market organizer, and maybe that's a reason you don't go back, because they have they have oversaturated your category in their market. But it goes back to the point I made before, are your items relevant? What can you do if you're in one of these categories to stand out and to make your stuff different and look different, and your booth looks different, and your products, there's perhaps superior quality or whatever. Think about it, and think about it hard, especially if you're in the crowded categories. Do you know who your customers are? Market organizers market the event to create a certain feel and attract a certain kind of shopper. Perhaps, if you're struggling, if you're thinking, this doesn't seem like where I doesn't seem right, or I don't belong here, or whatever, you may not be in the right place. So you have control over your product and the markets you choose to participate in. So consider that, like if you were in a market and it was just by a pass and anyone can show up and there's no jurying process at all, you may find a bunch of the overcrowded category people there, which made it difficult for all of you to sell your stuff, and that's, maybe that's not where you should be, or maybe your shoppers are not at the farmers market, they're at artisan markets, or maybe they're in certain cities or certain parts of cities or suburbs or whatever, like who are your customers and where are they? It is not the market organizer's fault if you attend a market in a place where your customers are not. So that's just a live and learn, and it's important to have those experiences, but that's just data for you to move to know, maybe I don't do markets in this place or with these types of people because those are not the people who buy my stuff. And that's fine. It's okay. And then you can mark that off your list. You can move on to the things that are, or the events that are on your list that have the shoppers that will buy your stuff. Not a problem. In the end, I'll say one thing about markets and jurying. Some markets, and I've said this before, but again, if you're listening right now or haven't listened to the previous ones, some markets will invite or admit any vendor that requests to be part. Some will jury for quality, some will jury for quality and an eye for the overall balance of the market, ensuring that both the vendors and the customers will have an enjoyable experience. You ask questions if you don't know. If you're like, I don't do well when it's just by a pass, make sure you know that that's what you're signing up for. If you prefer to have it juried a certain way, more or less strict, then make sure you ask the right questions beforehand. And the market organizer should not have a problem answering how they jury, what the procedure is, and making you, answering whatever questions you have to feel comfortable applying or not. It's okay to ask those questions. Now, in the end, you will be more successful. I think you'll be more successful at markets you participate in, and the markets themselves will be more successful if you remember that shoppers are there for an experience and that you are part of their experience. Don't blame the organizer. If there's, look at what you can control, take the issues that you might have with the market itself to the organizer privately to be addressed, and then go from there and determine. But at the very least, make sure that shoppers that come in and near your booth will have a good experience. You have entire control over that. Make sure you're friendly, make sure your products are displayed well, make sure you have good products, make sure you're not blocking things so that people can come in and easily look around and ask questions and all of that. And you will find a lot more success that way, and perhaps even be invited to markets, because bad experiences, from business perspective anyway, are still data. So, and still could provide relationships for future things. So it's possible that you might get invited to something because they were like, hey, I was at that market. Overall, not something I would go do again, but that one vendor was amazing, and I really remember them because of what they did and how they acted and what they had compared to, everything else, my disappointing experience otherwise. And they will seek you out for a custom order or some other opportunity or a collaboration of some kind or some new opportunity that you never knew existed. So just because you can't control all of it doesn't mean you can't control a lot of it. And I think it will go a long way into making everybody successful, markets more successful, and much more exciting for everybody to participate in, and really it benefits everybody. And we should always be using our role, whatever role we have in the situation, to create the best experience as we possibly can for the shoppers. So hopefully that was something that you haven't thought about before, or maybe caused you to think about it a little bit deeper. If you have comments or questions, feel free to leave them for us, and we will talk to you next time.